All right, good afternoon, everybody. Oh, and here we go. We have a new clicker. We get to try that out. And I'm going to move this so I don't trip on it. How's everybody doing? All right, you sound kind of quiet. It's beautiful weather. We've got the Chamber of Commerce weather going on here in Kentucky, and I'm glad that you're here because I'm going to give you a plant update, and hopefully I'm going to show you some things that maybe you haven't seen before. And if you haven't seen me before, my name is Ray Theriault. I am the plant director at a little business that's at the other end of Corvette Drive called the Corvette Plant. So thank you for coming today. All right, since BASH, which I know many familiar faces that are in the audience right now, we're also here at BASH, a lot of things have happened. You know, at BASH, we announced 2 amazing colors, and I have to tell you that today, one of the questions I'm getting all the time is, hey, where's the Roswell green? Where's it at? And I can tell you, it's usually parked out front of the plant. John Andrews, who's the assistant plant manager at the plant, who many of you probably know, he's driving a Roswell green high wing ZR1X. He will be actually at the dinner tonight, the ZR1 dinner tonight, so maybe it'll be in the parking lot here as well. So if you want to see the green, you've got a good chance of doing that still. Several other things have happened, like towards the end of BASH, there was actually a wedding conducted in the spire of the museum, which was awesome for Lon and Anya, who were married. And then, shortly after BASH, we did this little small thing called release the new interior. How do y'all like that? Woo, right? So it's been very well received, as it is in this room, and we're really excited that that's what we're producing online now. I know a lot of you have been on tour and have seen that we only have 2026s going down the line now, so it's been a busy time this summer in the Corvette plant. And we have a newest edition, right? We had a reveal the middle of June where we launched to the world a car known as the ZR1X. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, and I'm going to show you some really fine details that have rarely been seen before about how that car gets manufactured. So it really is, today, the pinnacle of the C8 architecture. The car combines the 1,064 horsepower engine, the LT7 engine that drives the rear wheels, just like the ZR1, with 186 horsepower electric drive for the front wheels. So it's our second ever all-wheel drive Corvette, and with that electric drive, it is screaming fast off the line. It has 1,250 horsepower, and the 0 to 60 time is less than 2 seconds. And everybody's going to say, why aren't you telling us what the time really is? And it's because we're still shaving time off the time, right, as we develop the car. So we want to get the time to the right time, and then I'm sure we'll share it with you. And that car, much like E-Ray's, is only made possible because of the folks at Bowling Green Assembly, who certainly build the LT7 engine and put the rest of the car together. But our friends at the GM plant in Brownstown, Michigan, make the electric front drive as well as the battery pack that makes the ZR1X the X. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today, but first I'm going to show you this video of the battery pack actually going together. Sounds good. Can't hear me, so that's probably better. Now it's way loud. Thank you. Those silver packs are very much like a Capri Sun pack, right? They're a thin, I'm going to call it a tin foil, that's not what it really is, with the chemical inside, and they have tabs on either end that make the electrical connection. And as we add those cells to the battery pack, that's how we get the battery pack that is actually used to drive the electric drive unit. The other interesting part in the second picture here is that's actually a press. So we put all those battery cells into a press, and it's very important that they get pressed to the correct pressure because the pressure impacts the efficiency of the chemical reaction that's taking place in the battery, right? So all of that has to be correct. And yeah, then here at the end, you'll see us making some electrical connections, and I'm going to talk more about that in a second. In fact, right here. So that last view is actually 20 connections being made at a time. When you saw this in the video, they load an integrated circuit board up into the tool and press it down. There's 20 connections at a time, 80 per side, 160 total in the battery, and all 20 connections have to be made at the same time for that integrated circuit board. It's really a very precise operation. And then you're probably wondering, well, that's just the battery pack. How does it go into the car? Well, here's this video. And what you will see here is that our team member in Bowling Green Assembly loads the battery right into the tunnel of the car. Same spot as an E-Ray. That's where the whole battery pack goes. And we lift it to the car and fasten all of the fasteners in a single operation, and then she will pull the tool down and out of the way. We'll get to questions in a second. So that's how the battery pack actually goes into the car. All right, now the battery pack doesn't do anything unless you have an electric motor and a front drive unit. And we actually make that in Brownstown, Michigan as well, because we believe that the way we put the front drive unit together, that gives us a competitive advantage. And here's a sneak peek into how that actually happens. Sounds great. So how many people would have thought that we actually start from the bare copper wire to wind our own stator to actually produce the front drive unit for we actually do it for the E-Ray as well as the ZR1X. Isn't that amazing? And we do that because we believe it's a competitive advantage, and it's really a precise process. For example, here's a couple pictures of actually the wires before they get pushed into the stator. They're pushed into the stator in the center picture, and then they actually get put into the housing for the front drive unit. And there's 144 wires that go into that, and every wire bend is extremely important. It helps the performance of that electric drive, and there's 7 different types of bends, and all of that gets welded together, believe it or not, with 144 different welds, and the length of the wire is important down to the microns to have all of this work, and the position of the wire and the angles of the bend, all of that is extremely important for the quality of that front drive unit so that we can get the performance that we know and love as the ZR1X. It's absolutely amazing, and I love visiting our Brownstown plant because there's not too many places that you can go in the world where they make a really cool car even cooler. And the folks that work in Brownstown are able to do that, right? The ZR1 is an amazing car. It's heard around the world. We're going to have a whole dinner about it tonight. But add an electric drive to it, and a really cool car gets even cooler, and it's completely thanks to our friends in Brownstown, Michigan that produce that. All right, the drive unit itself at the end, we want to make sure that's going to perform exactly the way that we expect it to in daily driving as well as on the test or on the track. So to do that, we send it through a test system that's actually not too different from the way that we test engines or transmissions before we assemble them into vehicles as well. It's a big statistical test machine that tests all sorts of parameters to make sure everything is in spec before the front drive unit ever gets shipped to Bowling Green. All right, so that's a little peek into what's been going on in Bowling Green Assembly with the things that we've done since BASH. It's a little peek into what's been happening in Brownstown, Michigan. My friends Rachel and Mary right now are going to pass out sheets of paper. Take a second and form into teams of 4 because we're going to play trivia, and there are prizes on the line for the trivia winners. So take a sheet of paper. We're going to do 20 questions of trivia. Highest score wins. If there's a tie, we have a tiebreaker question at the end. There's some tough competition in this room, I know for sure. I think we have some previous winners in the room, maybe even. We've got some high scorers in the room for sure. There's some tough competition. We'll see how we do. Hey, Deb, I met your new friends earlier. This is their first anniversary being here, so they're going to expect, some help to perform well. Are you all on the same team? All right. That looks like a power team back there as well. All right, does everybody that has a piece of paper want a piece of, or that wants a piece of paper have a piece of paper? I guess that would be more clear if I say it that way. Are we good? Looks like we got a couple more to pass out. I guess I shouldn't stand right there. All right. Everybody got their team? Did everybody study between BASH and now or get boned up on your Corvette trivia? Yes? All right, here we go. Here's the rules. Teams of 4. Somebody has to write the answers, obviously. Don't cheat, right? We have a lot of integrity in Corvette world. Let's not ruin that now. And then, of course, there will be a prize for the winning team, all right? Here we go. First question. How many Corvettes were made during the first production year, back then in 1953? How many were made? Put your best guess down. How many were made? Anybody remember where that was at? Flint, Michigan. Flint, Michigan. You got it. All right, question number 2. The C2 generation, known as the mid-years, ran until what final production year for C2? All right, so what was that last production year of the second generation of Corvette? Does anybody have one? All right, very good. How many people think they've got both right so far? Ah, not bad. Tough competition. Here we go. Question 3. What's the name of the first production performance hybrid Corvette ever? What is the name of that first performance hybrid Corvette? We're looking for the model name here. Anybody have one of those? Yeah, I figured I'd see some hands go up on that one. Some people even have hats. All right, next question. For which popular racing video game series did the Corvette CX and CXR Vision make its debut? This is like current events. What video game can you find those concept cars that we recently released? Oh, we've got lots of thinking going on. Lots of thinking. I'll give you one hint. Anybody need a hint? Anybody? It's not Mario Kart. That's the hint. It's not Mario Kart. So if you had Mario Kart, you might as well cross that off and write something else. All right? All right, question 5. The Corvette name was adopted from a warship that was used in which war? And I have to tell you, this question's a little bit tricky because this is true, that there is a warship from a particular world war that is the correct answer, that was the inspiration for the Corvette name, but Corvette as a ship name actually goes way back into the 1600s, and that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for which world war did the ship inspire Corvette's name? $50-50 chance, yeah. All right, question 6. So you should be on 6 on your paper. Which generation Corvette included the production of the 1 millionth car? Which generation was 1 million? You got that one? That was, whoops, did I double click there? No. All right. Question 7. What was the first generation to offer Corvettes as a coupe? Again, we're looking for the generation. Which generation offered a coupe first? Corvette blogger, how you doing back there? 7 for 7. All right. Did you hear that? Keith is saying 7 for 7. Anybody else? Who else has 7 for 7? All right. Here we go. We've got some confident people. Which bike company released bikes called Corvettes for both boys and girls 1 year after the Corvette was launched? Which bike company? Anybody need a hint on this one? It is not Ducati. My hints aren't very good, are they, Gary? All right, we got that answer down. Here we go. Which race car frame is made at Bowling Green Assembly? So our body shop produces a frame that is a race car. Easy peasy. Corvette blogger still 100%. All right, here we go. How many Corvettes were destroyed of the 44 cars built in 1983 model year? How many of the 44 got destroyed? Anybody been in the museum recently? All right. If you've paid attention to your placarding in the museum, this ought to be one you can get. Here we go. Here's the next one. What was the name of GM's event that revealed the Corvette in New York City way back in 1953? And I'm not going to ask if anybody in the room was there. Yeah. All right, what was the name of that event? Question 12, make sure you're on 12 on your paper. What color are the lint-free coveralls employees must wear to get into the paint shop in Bowling Green Assembly? If you've been on tour, you've likely seen them as you wander over to paint. What color are those coveralls that we use to keep all the lint away from the beautiful paint? Lucky 13, question 13. Which Corvette variant became the fastest ever around Nürburgring with a lap time of 6 minutes, 49 seconds, .275? And oh, by the way, my personal opinion is we missed a marketing thing because that should have been the end of the price when we released the price. I think that would have been cool. Has anybody got their variant written down? All right, next question. What year did the infamous sinkhole happen that swallowed 8 cars here at the museum? And we can clap for the delivery. Woohoo. What year was the sinkhole? The museum team ought to be doing well here. Where's that collections team? All right. Who was paying attention earlier? How much combined horsepower? This is internal combustion engine plus electric drive in the ZR1X. How much combined horsepower? All right, who thinks they have like half right so far? All right, who thinks they have them all right so far? Ah, we're still doing good. Very good. Carla's back there confident. All right, what year was the first toy Corvette released for Barbie? Oh, man. That's a Corvette question. What year was that first Barbie Corvette released? All right. All right, Hallie Earl, the designer of the Corvette, initially designed this roadster under what name? Like, what was the name that he was using as that was designed? No, not for me. You have to have it phonetically close. Oh, up there? All right. What is the location where Z06 and ZR1 engines are built? Where are those engines built? So this is the LT6, LT7 engines. They're all built somewhere. Where could that be? I went backwards. All right. Name either of the 2 Transformer characters modeled after Corvette vehicles. So there's 2 correct answers. You only need 1 to get the question correct. Name either of the 2. The amazing thing about Corvette is certainly it's a car that we all love, right? We have a whole museum around it. But it actually drives a lot in pop culture, right? If you search for Corvette movies, or you search for Corvette songs, or you search for Corvette toys, there's an endless supply of all of that. Because the iconic car is certainly an icon in the automotive world, right? All of our customers around the world, right, absolutely love the car, tons of enthusiasm. All of our competitors are trying to chase us and figure out how it is that we can engineer and design and build such an amazing vehicle. And a lot of that starts with pop culture and with kids playing with them when they're young that aspire to have a Corvette someday. I can tell you my personal story. I fell in love with a Corvette at 7 years old, right? That's a thing. That is a thing. So we're happy that all these things happen. That was question 19. Now we're on to question 20, the last one. What GM facility produces the ZR1X battery unit and front drive unit? This is another one of those who was paying attention. Who was paying attention? All right, everybody get all your questions written down or answers written down for the questions? Yes, ma'am? I probably can. 17. Hallie Earl, the designer of the Corvette, initially designed his Roadster under what code name? What code name was used for that? Ooh, and now it's getting serious. Here comes the swag. And it's not just I think those are cooler bags. There's actually stuff inside, right? Fancy hats, and a couple have fancy hats and a couple have fancy cups, right? Fancy tumblers. All right, so now it's serious. All right, so everybody find somebody to swap your paper with. Swap your paper with a friend. All right, this is just like junior high. Everybody get their paper swapped? Yeah, sorry. All right, here we go. Questions 1 to 10. How many Corvettes were made during the first year of production, 1953? Who had 300? Look at that, like 300 people had 300. That's the correct answer. All right, the C2, known as the mid-years, ran until what final production year? How many people have 2 right? 2 out of 2? Doing good. What's the name of the production performance hybrid Corvette ever made? And you should get it now because I clicked twice. E-Ray. And I'm clicking too fast. Here we go. For which popular racing video game series did the CX and CXR get released? Gran Turismo 7. We'll take Gran Turismo. You don't have to have a 7. Gran Turismo is good enough. The Corvette name was adopted from a ship in which World War? WW2. Whoop. Yeah, and I think we're missing an answer on the screen. So I don't know what happened there. That's going to be funny. We're missing 6 and 8 on the screen, it looks like. What were you saying, Rachel? Yeah, okay, we'll get there. Okay, so we're going to go to question 7. What was the first generation of Corvette as a coupe? It was actually the second generation, right? Convertible first, and the coupe was added with the second generation. Question 9, which gets confusing for the scoring. Which race car frame? That's the GT3R, and you need it all to get that correct. And how many Corvettes were destroyed of the 44? 43. Anybody know where the other one is? You got it. And there, we're going back to 6 now to follow the slide. So the generation of Corvette included the 1 millionth is C4. Who knows, and this is like true false, have we passed 2 million yet? No, we have not. We're creeping up on it, right? But we're not quite to 2 million yet. But C4 was the 1 millionth Corvette produced. All right, and then the bike company was Schwinn. Anybody get that one right? Oh, you had a Corvette Schwinn? Very nice. Oh, green. Was it Roswell green? All right. Question 11. What's the name of GM's event that revealed the Corvette? Motorama. What color are the lint-free coveralls? I heard a white. I heard a blue. Blue is it. All right. Anybody write down green? All right, we'll take blue. Which Corvette variant became the fastest ever around Nürburgring? ZR1X, that's correct. It just was a shave faster than the ZR1. All right, what year did the sinkhole happen? 2014. 2014. We definitely have people that were here then. Right? What's the combined horsepower for ZR1X? 1250. So 186 of that is the electric drive, 1064 is the internal combustion engine. And now for the Barbie doll question that was a favorite of the front row. All right. What year was that first Barbie doll Corvette released? Anybody want to shout out a guess? 1976. Anybody get that one right? Yeah. Harley Earl. Yeah, Harley Earl had Project Opal. Harley Earl had Project Opal. You had one? An Opal. Yeah, lots of people had Opals. All right, what is the location where the LT6 and LT7 engines are produced? All right, and how many like that our tour now actually takes a little dip in there and back? Anybody go on tour this week and notice that, right? That's kind of a new ad. Was that good? Yeah? How many people like to spend more time in the Performance Build Center? Yes? All right, maybe we'll work on that. All right, name either of the two transformers. Anybody get this one? Shout them out. Sideswipe? So Sideswipe was a Corvette, as was Crosshairs. Bumblebee was actually a Camaro, I think. Yep, at least maybe later it wasn't even a Camaro anymore. I think it might have changed. But Sideswipe and Crosshairs are the Corvette transformers. And which facility produces the ZR1X front drive unit and battery? Brownstown, Michigan. If you've ever flown into the Detroit airport, Brownstown's right there, right south of the airport. All right, so switch your papers back now that they've been graded. How many people, well, we'll let people switch back. Next slide. All right, well, we'll get there in a second. Not yet. Not yet. I'll get there. All right, how many people got one right? Everybody? How many people got 5? 5? At least 5. Hold your hand up if you got 5 or more. 10 or more? All right, that's pretty good. 15 or more? We still have lots of hands up. 16 or more? Keep your hand up. 17 or more? Still have a couple in the room. We've got, I think, 3. Is that it? 1, 2, 3? I think we're at 16. 17 or more? Keep your hand up. 18 or more? 19 or more? 19, so you had 18? 18 takes the cake. It looks like anybody can tie 18 because I have a great tiebreaker question. All right, so 18 wins it? You guys are a team? No? It was individuals? And you had 18 as well? Oh, so we do get to use the tiebreaker question. Before we get to that, here's the ranking. So you can think about your own score to yourself, but if you're 0 to 5, you might want to stop and fuel up with some Corvette knowledge, all right? The museum's a great place to do that. A lot of our questions were from the museum. Some were from my presentation, and some were just from pop culture. If you're 6 to 10, hey, that's pretty good. You're cruising along. You're kind of in tour mode, right? Just going with the vibe. If you got 11 to 15, now you're starting to get serious and revving up a bit. The 16 to 18, hey, you're in the fast lane, and I guess we don't have to talk about the rest because nobody quite got there. But it's okay, right? Hopefully you had fun, and now we have the tiebreaker question for the two in the back. Why don't you guys come up here, and we'll actually get a mic, since it's only the two of you. Yeah, buzz in. Hopefully you brought your paper, because we do need you to probably write down the answer still. Sorry, I should have told you that before walking you all the way to the front. And anybody that wants to play along will be able to write down your answer as well. So I will share a little story if Keith doesn't mind, because Keith shares stories all the time, so I feel like I can share a story about Keith.
And you don't mind, right?
And I don't mind either. So I bumped into Keith, I don't know, an hour ago, 2 hours ago, something like that, and I said, hey, Keith, have you been studying up? He's like, Ray, that's all I do. Like, I'm reading it all day long, and of course I've been studying up. He's like, that's what I do. Okay, so you can tell it pays off, right? Because here he is in the front, and here we go. So our tiebreaker question. How many wheel and tire combinations are offered or were offered in the 2025 model year? Tire and wheel combinations. And we will be playing what I like to call Price is Right rules, which means closest without going over. And I might have to break that if you both go over. It might just be closest, but we'll see. I guess I'll probably have to break it, maybe.
Total wheels?
Tire and wheel combinations. Like Keith's actually doing math. He's going through all the RPOs. He's figuring out. You got your number? I think he is doing math over there. He's doing long multiplication, it looks like. Yeah. You ready?
I think so.
All right. So here we go.
I said 12.
12 is low.
Yeah, I'm going to say 16.
16 is also low, but with the closest without going over, you're going to win because the number is 152. If you figure that about the different wheels that we offer on the different models that we offer with the different tires that we offer, and you start doing all the permutations of all of that, the folks in Bowling Green Assembly are amazing because when the car rolls off the line, they all match and are correct, right? And that's not easy to do with 152 different wheel combinations. So very well done. Congratulations, you and probably 3 friends get to pick your swag. And there's like 2 that have the hat and 2 that have the tumbler. So congratulations, Keith, way to go. Corvette blogger, nicely done. Congratulations. Nicely done. All right, we do have a couple minutes left, so I'll take some assembly plant questions if y'all have them. Anybody been on tour or have advice or question right here? Do we want to get a mic over here so everybody can hear the question, please, and thank you?
You were calling the motor for the ZR1X, the stator. Is that an AC
Stator's
motor?
part of the front drive unit, yes.
But is that an AC motor?
It does go to 3-phase. It starts with a DC battery and then goes through an inverter as well. Next question right back there.
Yeah, you indicated there's 2 electric motors, 160, 184 horsepower. Are you going to convert them all to 184, or are you still going to have 2?
Oh, you're talking about the way we spec the E-Ray today
yes,
and the
yes,
ZR1X?
Yes.
I believe their spec will stay different.
They'll keep 2 motors.
Yes. Is that correct, Josh? Yes.
So what is the voltage of the battery pack for the E-Ray and the ZRX one?
It's the same, and it varies based on where you're talking about, but I think we would call it a 12-volt battery pack, and again, I'm looking for the nod. The high voltage side is 300. The low voltage side is 12. Yep. And I think the around 300 is correct because it's a different number that's close to that. Yeah. Thanks, Josh. All right, what other question do we have?
Yep.
I'm
We
sorry,
took a
back here.
tour today and saw a lot of green panels. What would you say the percentage of cars getting built today are green?
Oh, I wouldn't be able to speculate on the percentage today. I will say that what you're seeing is a little bit of an inflated percentage of probably our standard run rate, because as we launch the model year, we kind of tip into the new colors. You know, we introduce them one at a time and we tip into them, and because of that launch strategy, we have a curve that we accelerate the color to, and I think you're seeing the peak of that curve today with the Roswell green. So you're going to see probably a higher number of green cars on the line than you will 2 months from now, right? Just because we're kind of filling the pipeline and accelerating that color. But it sure was neat to see, wasn't it? All right, Tom, I don't know about this one.
It's a good one. When you introduced the E-Ray and now the X, what kind of safety precautions did you put in place for the folks?
Oh, that's a great question. So Tom's asking about, hey, when you're making an EV, which is really what the front end of a E-Ray or a ZR1X is, what are the safety precautions that put into place? And I'll tell you that General Motors is producing all sorts of EVs across the world now, right? And we have a whole group, a whole division almost, that are dedicated to electrical vehicle safety. And that electrical vehicle safety group, not only do they have an impact on what happens with the vehicle as a final product on the road, but they also feed back into the plant what we like to call the EVOS, the Electrical Vehicle Operating System. So we certainly have high voltage training and the right procedures in place for repairs and handling a live battery pack to keep our employees safe around the electricity. But we also have emergency response plans in case something goes wrong. And I'll tell you that, you know, the factories that end up making the battery packs as well and handling the cells, they have even a higher order of safety standards because of being exposed to not only potentially the voltage, but also the chemicals related to the battery cells themselves. So it becomes a whole new technology in itself, and it's a whole new learning path for all of our employees. And we actually teach all of the employees in the plant what those safety mechanisms are, because everybody's now around an EV, right? And we want folks to know. And then you've probably seen that it's not just for the product and for the people in the plant. You know, of course, our dealers need to learn how to service them safely and all of that. But GM's also done a great job of partnering with first responders, because as they respond to you know, an incident in the field with an EV, it's a different response than with an internal combustion engine or a traditional vehicle, right? So GM's leaned heavily into that whole space, and we have a whole group of people. I would call it a division that's really focused on that.
I'm going to ask a really toughie here. What is the projected number of ZR1s to be built in 2026?
We don't give that projection out. And I don't give that projection out. I can tell you that we're following our production plan. Even the 2025 model year, we followed our production plan. We produced what we expected to produce. You know, that car, it is in high demand. There's no doubt about that. It's meant to be a bit of an elite vehicle. We go through our launch processes to assure that all of our suppliers are producing quality, and so we ramp up the rate over time as we can. And maybe if you follow production numbers closely, you have seen some evidence of the ZR1 production climbing up a little bit. So yeah, we're following our plan, but we don't forecast what we will produce publicly. Another question right there?
Yeah, what is the time frame, if there is one, for having public tours daily?
So we haven't announced a date for public tours daily. You know, we did them a couple weeks ago. Their public tours are this week as well. There's another week that has been announced in the middle of November. And we hope that their museum will be able to announce more public tours soon. So stay tuned to the museum website. Stay tuned to you know, the museum's communications that they send out, and I think you'll be pleased in the near future. Another question over here, please.
Hi. I know there's constraints on carbon fiber components, and I was wondering, I went through the factory today and I saw very little carbon fiber except on the ZR1Xs. So my question is that getting turned around? Are you getting more, your supplier, are they giving you enough?
Yeah, we've actually had a bit of success recently with improving our constraints on carbon fiber. Our constrained suppliers we've worked with hand in hand. I can tell you that some of our most constraining suppliers have had visits from folks from the plant, including me, multiple times. And you know, they've been responding well and increasing their production. And we're actually in a better spot than we have been with carbon fiber, and it continues to improve. It may just be the mix that you were looking at on the line today, but you know, we're optimistic with where we are for carbon fiber, and when we look forward, we expect it to continue to get better. Yep.
I think at the bash, I talked to one of the engineers, and he said you have like 6 or 8 different suppliers for different parts, and I guess the big wing is from Italy, I think is what he said.
Yeah, we get carbon fiber from a variety of sources around the world, because just like with everything for Corvette, we try to source to the best supplier possible for the quality and what I will call the throughput or the quantity that we need in the plant as well. So our global purchasing team, when we go out for quote, we go all over the world. We evaluate the suppliers with a group of subject matter experts, and then we pick the best suppliers to be able to produce the part that's going to make you the happiest. And so yeah, different carbon fiber parts come from different suppliers, and they are sourced globally. That's true. And we will continue to fine tune that over time, right? When we find a different way or we introduce a different part, we'll tweak our scheme a little bit over time as well, just to get a continually improving result. All right, well, this has been fun. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Congratulations to Corvette Blogger for winning. I will give a shameless plug for the ZR1 dinner that's tonight, and I think it starts at maybe the dinner's at 5:30 or 5 o'clock, something like that. And then there is a panel. The panel's going to be stunning, if you ask me, because on the panel is Tom Peters from design. We've got Josh Holder, the chief engineer for all Corvette models, who happens to be standing in the back of the room right now. Jordan Lee, who is the executive chief engineer for our engines. We have Mike Bailey, who is one of our very important program team members. And then we have Brian Wallace, who is actually the record setter in the ZR1 on the Nürburgring. I'm going to be interloping with them, just kind of hosting the event. But if you think about that group, it's everybody from the conceptual design all the way through driving the car on a racetrack. So that's going to be the panel presentation this evening. So if you get a chance and you can get a ticket, come on in and enjoy dinner, I think, in here this evening, and you'll get a chance to hear from that panel. Thank you very much for coming.